All access pass to medical coding and billing pro tips that help you start your week off smarter. And now, here is your host, Toni Elhoms.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alpha Coding Podcast Series. I am your host, Toni Elhoms. Welcome to episode 53 of the podcast. January 4th, and happy 1-year anniversary of this podcast series. That's right, you've spent 53 Mondays with me, which is so awesome. And this podcast is something that I'm super passionate about. I love what I do, and I love the community that has been built around this content. And Happy New Year. It's the first Monday of 2021, and cheers to a better year for everyone. So today we're going to focus on increasing your emotional intelligence. And I want to share with you that emotional intelligence has been the catalyst behind much of my success, and it's imperative that you're always looking for ways to increase your EQ. So I want to share some good pro tips with you. So before we dive into our topic, it's time for your Monday dose of positivity, the Mindset Monday tip, and it's brought to you by Project Resume. When is the last time you had your resume updated? Your resume is literally your entry ticket to that next great opportunity. Project Resume will design a customized ATS-friendly resume to demonstrate your unique skills and experience. And even better, it's written by coders for coders. Make that investment in yourself today and visit projectresume.net and mention my code ALPHACODING for special pricing. So our Mindset Monday tip is all about recognizing your real supporters. So the quote I want to share with you is one of my favorites from Oprah, and it says, "Lots of people want to ride in the limo with you, but what you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down." And this right here is the reminder that we all need, because major facts, when you have money, when you have success, when you have something that somebody else wants, you're going to attract all of these fake people that are just around you to gain benefits for themselves. And you have to be able to spot those fake people. But the important thing here is that there are going to be true, real friends out there that support you no matter what. No matter if you have the limo or if you're taking the bus, they're going to be there with you, ride or die. So very few people are genuinely around to support you and have your back no matter what. And when you do find those real people that truly, genuinely care about you and support you no matter what your circumstances are, you want to treasure them and treat them like gold, because those people are few and far between. So today we're going to cover my top 10 pro tips for increasing your EQ. So this is not something that is just instinctive. Nobody just starts off with a high EQ. It's something that you have to really work on over time and be intentional about. It's like a muscle. The more that you practice, the more that you work it, the stronger it's going to get. Same thing with EQ. And most people are only familiar with IQ, which is intellectual intelligence. And that's really centered around cognitive skills. How much information can you retain? How much can you process? Are you able to apply critical thinking skills? And the more that you're able to do these things, the higher your IQ is. And with EQ, it's all about managing your own emotions, being able to interpret other people's emotions, and having really strong interpersonal skills to be able to build strong relationships with people, and then leveraging those relationships in strategic ways. One of my favorite authors talks about this, Simon Sinek: if you don't understand people, then you don't understand business. And I think there's a lot of push for intellectual pursuits. You need to go to this college, and you need to get this degree, and you need to get this master's degree, and you need to go for your PhD, and all of this push for intellectual intelligence, when really the focus should be on developing emotional intelligence, because the majority of business in life is driven based on your relationships and your network. So if you don't understand how to build meaningful relationships with people, all that intelligence is basically for nothing. So learning how to increase your emotional intelligence is going to trump IQ all day, every day. And this brings me to my pro tip number 1, understand the importance of EQ. So I just alluded to this a second ago, but your ability to recognize emotions not only in yourself, but in other people, and understanding their effect, and then being able to use that information and guide thinking and behavior is absolutely invaluable. Your effect on other people, your ability to influence other people, is all driven by emotional intelligence. So because an increased EQ helps you better understand yourself and other people, you have a much higher success rate of achieving your goals than someone that has a lower EQ. And specifically in the workplace, emotional intelligence is a big driver behind success. So your ability to interact with people and make people feel welcomed and make people feel valued and learn how to lead people on an ongoing basis and understand what truly motivates them, and then be able to leverage what motivates them to achieve bigger goals for the organization and allow that person to level up in their own personal growth. That right there is priceless. Pro tip number 2. Look deep within yourself. So you really have to venture on an emotional discovery of understanding how you react to certain situations. And this journey of emotional discovery is going to allow you to become more mindful and aware of how you react to certain situations, which is going to allow you to take back control of the situations where you may not be managing things the best way. So through this introspection and self-discovery, you start to understand why you do the things you do, why you react to the situations that you do. And a lot of it comes back to childhood programming. I've talked about this before, but it is a huge driver behind our own psychology. We don't even realize it, but a lot of times the behavior that we saw in our parents or the people that we were around as children, we've taken on and personalized that behavior, and it becomes a natural reaction, specifically in stressful situations. So when you're able to gain that awareness of things that really bother you and being able to troubleshoot so that you react in a different way, you're able to gain a sense of control over your emotions. You become empowered to take on bigger things and bigger stresses and things that you didn't even realize were possible because you've experienced those breakthroughs and you understand how to overcome them, because emotions are very powerful. And when you can gain control over your emotions, you become unstoppable. So really look deep within and gain that self-awareness, because that's going to be critical to increasing your EQ. Pro tip number 3, seek out another perspective. So don't be afraid to ask someone, your colleague, your friend, about their perception of you. A lot of times how we perceive ourselves and how other people perceive us is very different. So to be able to gain that perspective as to how you're perceived to other people, are you approachable? Are you likable? Are you someone that intimidates other people? Are you someone that is very abrasive? Are you someone that maybe overshares information and don't realize it? These are things that you can identify by seeking an outside perspective. Or maybe it's totally the opposite and people respect you and they have a totally opposite perspective of you than what you have of yourself. It's amazing how much perspective varies from person to person. So gaining that insight is truly invaluable. And if you're someone that struggles with imposter syndrome, you are your own worst critic. So being able to get outside feedback can really help you combat some of that imposter syndrome, which I've talked about before, that can be so paralyzing. So seek that outside perspective because it can be extremely valuable to you. Pro tip number 4, hit the pause button. So this one is way easier said than done, right? Sounds good in theory, but not always practical. So when we're faced with a challenging situation or a conflict, and it's not something that we were anticipating, you want to do your best to try to hit that pause button before you react, before you respond, before you say something that you don't mean, before you just get caught up in your emotions. Hit that pause button because that's going to allow you to reset and kind of think through your response and how other people will perceive that response before you actually deliver a response. Again, way easier said than done. I've had to really work on this myself over time. It's something that you have to always be conscious of, is your reaction and how other people will perceive that, especially if you're in a position of leadership and you're someone that other people look to for guidance and advice. You don't want to be perceived as someone that can't handle stress or can't handle pressure or can't handle criticism, because that makes you look bad as a leader. Pro tip number 5, Your reaction to criticism speaks volumes about your EQ. So when someone critiques you, it can feel very personal. It can feel like a personal attack. And if it's someone that you know has bad intentions towards you, that's not looking to see you grow, that there's a competing interest there, you just kind of have to let that go in one ear and out the other. Your response to it says so much about your emotional maturity and ability to take criticism. As someone that is considered a medical coding influencer, I am constantly criticized, and that's part of being an influencer. It comes with the territory. I don't let that stuff bother me because I don't care about other people's opinions. At the end of the day, if my opinion of myself is good, then what other people think about me doesn't impact me. It's their opinion, which they're entitled to. And in the digital age, people are so outspoken about their opinion because they don't have to face you. They can just type it on a screen or hit that 1-star rating on iTunes because they want to bring your 5-star rating down because they're a hater. That's going to come with the territory. Criticism is inevitable. So your reaction to the criticism is going to speak volumes about your EQ. And if it is criticism that is truly warranted and it's coming from a good place, then you stop and ask yourself, what can I learn from this criticism? Is this something that I can take and put into action to make myself better? And if it is, then you've gained something from that experience. Pro tip number 6, the weight of another person's opinion of you should not influence your opinion of you. So if you have a manager that gives you a bad performance review, or if you have a supervisor that doesn't allow you to go outside of your box, you're only allowed to do these certain tasks and you've asked to take on other projects and you really just feel like you're boxed in, sit down and do what you're told and that's it. If you're in a situation like that, you need to understand that the person that has control over that situation is insecure with themselves. They have issues with themselves. And there are so many people out there like that. If you allow that person's opinion or that person's influence on your situation in that season of your life impact your opinion of yourself, then that's going to be detrimental to your self-esteem. I can't tell you the amount of times over my career that I have been underestimated. I have been rejected. I have been told you won't make it. You will fail. You are not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not polished enough. You're not C-suite material. I've been told so many things over my career. And if I allowed those people to influence the opinion that I have of myself, then I would not be where I am today, which is a successful entrepreneur with multiple successful businesses, a team of people that are working to ensure that my dream becomes a reality, and a family that loves and supports me. So I would not have any of those things if I allowed somebody to box me in like so many people are going to try to do to you over your career. You have to look past that because another person's opinion about you is truly irrelevant. Your opinion about you is the only one that matters. Pro tip number 7, learn to exercise self-control. So again, much easier said than done. Being able to exercise that self-control is so important because it displays your emotional maturity, your ability to self-regulate and manage your emotions in the moments that matter the most. No matter what the occasion is, being able to control your feelings and expressing them in the appropriate settings is a critical skill. So you really have to be in tune with what's appropriate based on the setting and then respond appropriately. Pro tip number 8, practice empathy. So we've all experienced challenges. We've all had those moments where everything in our personal life is falling apart and we're barely hanging on by a thread. And specifically in the workplace, you have to be able to compartmentalize personal and workplace. And sometimes that's not always possible. When someone is going through something traumatic, like they've lost a loved one, or they've experienced a miscarriage, or maybe they're a caregiver for a family member and And this is something that is emotionally taxing on a daily basis. You have to be able to empathize with people and understand that the way they're reacting to you at that moment in time has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their emotional state. So being able to practice empathy and understand that people's emotions play a huge role in their life and can manifest in every area is going to allow you to form deeper connections with people and understand that empathy demonstrates emotional strength, not weakness. When you can relate to other people and understand and truly empathize with what they're going through, that makes you a stronger and better person. And that empathy opens the door for mutual respect and understanding of people's circumstances and situations. Pro tip number 9, communication is your currency. If you don't know how to communicate with people effectively, your growth potential is going to be very limited. So specifically with your verbal communication, you want to make sure that you're communicating assertively, not aggressively, but assertively, because that's going to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, you're confident in what you're saying, and that you're not being too passive. The last thing people want to see is someone that is wishy-washy, that will change their opinion at the drop of a hat based on someone's reaction. So communicating assertively allows you to communicate your opinions and needs in a direct way that is respectful of other people. And then of course your written communication. So you want to make sure that it's appropriate for the setting and you're not having highly charged emotional discussions in writing. That is a recipe for disaster. Most often those conversations need to be had either verbally or in person. And then of course your body language, which communicates for you. It's the vibe, the energy that people get when they meet you. So emotionally intelligent people come across as approachable, as likable, as someone that could be a positive and helpful person. So you have to have those great interpersonal skills, know how to communicate clearly and effectively, and your communication and your body language need to match. So communication is truly your currency. Learn how to communicate with people effectively, and you're going to see unlimited opportunity. Pro tip number 10. Make your emotions work for you and not against you. So this is the biggest advantage of increasing your emotional intelligence. As you increase your emotional intelligence, you become your own inner manager. So it's your responsibility to control your reaction and not react impulsively. Slow down, hit that pause button, and make strategic choices based on the desired outcome you want. And you've probably heard this a million times, but it is so true. In life, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So increasing your emotional intelligence is going to pay major dividends over time and allow you to tap into a power that most people are not even aware of. So grab a pen and paper to summarize my top 10 pro tips for increasing your emotional intelligence. Number 1, understand the importance of EQ. Number 2, look deep within yourself. Number 3, seek out another perspective. Number 4, hit the pause button. Number 5, your reaction to criticism speaks volumes about your EQ. Number 6, the weight of another person's opinion of you should not influence your opinion of you. Number 7, learn to exercise self-control. Number 8, practice empathy. Number 9, communication is your currency. Number 10, make your emotions work for you, not against you. So it's time for this week's coding pro tip, and it's brought to you by Contempo Coding, which is an on-demand educational resource provider created for coders by coders. They specialize in affordable coding certification prep courses to help you accelerate in your career. Right now, they're offering an exclusive special to Alpha Coding Podcast listeners, and that's $125 off the Certified Risk Adjustment Coding Prep course, and this prep course has a 100% pass rate, by the way, when you order through our affiliate website. Visit our website, alphacodingexperts.com, and head over to the Deals and Discounts tab for a link to take advantage of this absolute steal of a deal. If you have a coding-related question and would like to be featured in one of our coding pro tips, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. So this week's coding pro tip comes to us from Colorado. Hi, Toni. I'm super confused about this new G code G2212 for prolonged services. Can you explain the application? Yes, I've had a lot of questions about this G code, which is why I dedicated an entire episode to prolonged services in 2021. So be sure to check that out in episode 51. But this G code was created because Medicare did not like the time thresholds that the AMA put out on the prolonged service code 99417. So they created their own G code, G2212, which requires more time than the cross code 99417. So you definitely want to take a listen to episode 51, where I go over prolonged services and the new time-based coding methodology, and then understand the time threshold that is now required for G2212. So definitely take a listen to that episode. That should give you some clarity. Please remember to hit that subscribe button now so you never miss another episode. Also, be sure to drop us a rating and review on iTunes. We really appreciate your support. So this concludes today's episode. Until next week, thank you for listening to the Alpha Coding Podcast. We'll see you next Monday.
For more information about medical coding and billing pro tips, including how to hire alpha coding experts, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or visit our website at www.alphacodingexperts.com.